Wrestling fans, what's going on, man? It's Black Couch Booking here with a brand new video. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. I promise you will not be disappointed. And if you're old to the channel, Couch Crew, what's going on, man? Hope you guys are having a lovely day today. Anyway, man, follow me on Instagram at Real Black Couch Booking. And if you want to join my Discord, link is in the description down below where the best wrestling fans have the best conversations, man. Today is going to be a great conversation, man. I love women's wrestling. I think this is probably like the best time in women's wrestling. Like to be a fan of women's wrestling is the best time because we have very talented individuals. We have individuals who have the sex appeal and they have the skill that paid the bill. So, should we be concerned though about the future of women's wrestling? Because yes, women's wrestling is great right now. It's sensational. But I'm worried about the future. And I think a lot of questions are gonna be answered within the next few weeks, actually, about the future of women's wrestling. So let me explain why I say that. I mean, the first example, of course, would be Tiffany Stratton, right? If Tiffany Stratton wins this match against Charlotte Flair, that shows that they're all in and they're invested in building the next generation of women's wrestlers. Should she win? No, because I don't think she's ready. I think Charlotte should win. Obviously, Charlotte is someone who's notorious for having short runs, so she would lose it to somebody who's worthy of defeating her, next anyway. Or she's gonna go against another big name, and then she lose it to the big name, which I'll talk about that as well. But Tiffany is just one of those individuals that's like, are you ready to fully invest and to keep developing and to make it to a star who could become a multi-time champion? Or are they gonna give up on it because they like, ooh, we see some things that was exposed by putting her against Charlotte, which I think was a mistake anyway. I would have loved to see Charlotte versus Rhea, and I think Bianca versus Tiffany would have been something very different. And I think it would have made a little bit more sense because the Jade and Naomi story could intertwine with that, whether or not Bianca Belair was involved with Naomi versus Jade. Regardless, Bianca Belair goes against Tiffany Stratton, beats Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany's just not ready and can't handle that power. Then you have Naomi versus Jay. Whoever wins, they want the shot at Bianca Belair. That's two stories wrapped up in one. Whereas now Bianca Belair is going against the Raw champion essentially, and Naomi and Jay they still on SmackDown. So even if whoever wins out of that, it's not like they could just go over to Raw and be like, "Hey, I want a shot." You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be, they could, but it wouldn't make a lot of sense because you're just shooting somebody over to the roster just for no reason. Whereas it would be justified if Bianca Belair was going against Tiffany Stratton, and a loss against Bianca Belair is like justifiable. You know what I'm saying? It'll make Tiffany look bad. But I think that's the issue with the booking right now is that you have a lot of young women talent, like a Lyra Valkyria and a Roxanne Perez and many more. But it's like they're still surrounded by so many vets, and they're surrounded by vets that's coming from the outside in. Jordan Grace. Why did Jordan Grace need to go to NXT? Jordan Grace already wrestled against the NXT champion when she was the TNA women's champion. So why does she have to come now to wrestle for NXT? She could have went straight to the main roster. She's faced main roster opposition in Royal Rumble, what, twice now? Why couldn't she go to the main roster? You don't got to put the belt on her immediately. You could have put the mid-card belt on Jordan Grace. Imagine Jordan Grace debuted on the main roster, took out Chelsea Green, a vet who's been in the business long enough already. So she takes it off of Chelsea Green. That's great. And then she could work her way up to the women's championship or the women's world championship. Whereas now she's on NXT, Stephanie Bakir already has the strap, and she's a lucha, well, not lucha, but she's a legend outside of WWE within her own right, very well known, very skilled. So she came in, but then you have Jada Parker, who's gonna lose to Jordan Grace, right? You have Cora Jade, who got to go to TNA because it's overcrowded. You got Kalani Jordan, who was just an NXT Women's North American champion, but now she's going after the NXT Women's North American Championship again because the top of the top is too stacked for her to get into that realm. You have a Ren Sinclair who's never going to get a shot, it seems like. You have a Soul Ruka who got to be paired up with Zarya as the odd couple. You just signed Zarya, who might not be the youngest talent. She's known outside of WWE as well, but you don't even got, now she's inserted into this North American thing. Whereas you could have it your way, guys. Zarya could all if you're gonna have the NXT women be the top of the top, the Stephanie Valkyria, the Julia, throw Zarya in there. You have Jordan Grace in NXT, which I think is a mistake. Okay, throw Jordan Grace in there. Why? Well, like, but when is Jada Parker gonna get a chance? Roxanne Perez was just a champion. Cool. When is Cobra Jade gonna get the shot? When is Kalani Jordan gonna get the shot? Is Fallon Henley gonna get the shot? Is Izzy Dan gonna get the shot? Is Carmen Petrovich gonna get the shot? Is Jasmine Ninks gonna get the shot? When are these? When is Lash Legend gonna become a singles champion? Is Jakara Jackson gonna get the shot? You keep signing veteran women outside of the company, which is great, but you're sending them to NXT to stunt the the accolade growth of the women because they're getting good runs against these veterans. They're getting good experience with the matches, but the accolades, the justification of why does Kalani Jordan need to go up to the main roster? Why did Jada Parker need to go up to the main roster? You're not going to book her like you did Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair was justified because she got booked great on the main roster, but when she was on NXT, she never held an NXT Women's Championship. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking forward to Jada Parker, the Kalani Jordans, and all of them, the Lash Legends, the Jakara Jacksons to, go to the main roster, but what have they done in NXT? Braun Breaker had to win multiple NXT championships. Carmelo Hayes had to win multiple NXT championships. To be judged, Trick Williams has won multiple NXT championships, and he's still not on the main roster yet. So you're just gonna place Jada Parker on the main roster because she's becoming overwhelmingly popular, but then you're gonna let Jordan Grace win the NXT Women's Championship and then send her to the main roster. But she don't need to do that because Jordan Grace was already a TNA Women's Champion. She already has the accolades. Stephanie Vaquero, you want her to learn the WWE system? Cool. Julia, you want her to learn the WWE system? Cool. But when is the future of the women's division, aka the younger talent, gonna become the future? Now, if you're booking your future based off of the future is gonna be the ones who was in the Indies or in New Japan or AEW or TNA. They're the future, and the young ones they just gotta fall in line because they're not that good. All right, cool. But then when you show us shades of excellence like a Roxanne Perez, a Liva Valkyria, and things like that, but Roxanne Perez, well, what's next for Roxanne Perez? We don't know. And I'm hoping they do the right thing, which is don't feed Lyra to Becky. Lyra, Roxanne, have them have a generational feud for the mid-card championship. Boost the mid-card championship up. Because even if Lyra beats Becky, that's a passing of the torch. Is it really? Maybe. But you could build two stars instead of just building up Lyra at the expense of Becky, which she does need to put people over, but she's been out for some time. She's going to come back. I want her to get some good runs in, maybe have a match against Charlotte for the women's championship if she beats Tiffany Stratton. And then when Tiffany Stratton loses, build her up. Let her go out to the United States Women's Championship. Let her do something. Or just have a good one-on-one feud for not for the belt. Like the Charlotte Flairs, the Becky Lynches, you know what I'm saying? The Baileys, like it's so many vets that are still around and still kicking and still at the forefront. At one point, Bailey was on every show, every day of the week in WWE. Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. That's taken away from someone else who could be elevating. Bailey could just be on one show and do one thing of significance. If you're going to send Bailey down to NXT to help build Roxanne Perez up, keep her right there for a second. Build Roxanne Perez up. All right, I'll see you later. Now you got Bailey doing stuff with Lyra. We don't know what's going to come of that. Bailey's not going to beat Lyra, I don't think, for the IC strap. But then if they do win the tag team gauntlet, you're stunning other people's grid. Maxine and Natalia, listen. It will help Maxine if she won. It will help B-Fab if she won. Kaden and Katana are the only real tag team in that match, if you ask me. Alba Fire hasn't done nothing in some time. Maybe Alba Fire and Piper wins. And then Chelsea, Alba, and Piper have titles at the same time being a part of the same stable. But it seems like Lyra and Bailey might be an obvious choice. Hopefully it's a swerve and it's not the obvious choice. But I'm just concerned about the future of the women's division as far as the younger talent. As far as like the division as a whole, it's fine. This is the best. This is the best roster that the women's division have had in a long time. Vets included, vets outside of WWE included. But the future, the ones who are going to be here in 2030 are the ones we kind of need to. Okay, let's step up a little bit. Let's step up a little bit. Should Kalani Jordan be the women's Intercontinental Champion by 2030? Should fuck out of here. Should Jada Parker be a contender for the Women's United States Champion by 2030? Does Lyra win Money in the Bank before 2030? Does Roxanne Perez become Women's World Champion before 2030? Like these are questions that we need the answer to, and I'm patient, but a lot of these people have been around for years now. How long do I got to be in NXT before I'm building myself on the main roster? How long do I got to build the main roster before I build myself to relevance? Now they gave Lyra and Tiffany that push, which gives me good faith, but what you're signing so many people outside of the company and bringing them. Can we take a break? I know when a big free agent becomes available, you sign them so they can't go somewhere else. But for the women's division, I would take a break. You have so many women you're not even really utilizing, or you utilize them as garbage. You need to be passing the belt around a little bit more. That United States Championship should come off of Chelsea Green ASAP. We don't need people having 200 days, 150-day runs anymore. We need 30-day, 60-day, 20-day, 14-day runs again because it's so many people. People, yes, people make the belts, but if you don't give people an opportunity to make the belt, how are they going to make the belt? Lyra has done a great job. Chelsea Green has done a great job. The belt is made, cast the belt. Now let that person become something with the belt. Those belts are good. Let the next person, let BFAB become something. Let Maxine become something. The dark horse. Maxine can have a Bo Leave. Shit, almost died. Maxine can have a Bo Leave type of run. Why not? Roxanne could just come on the main roster ASAP, beat Lyra for the belt. Boom. Roxanne, the prodigy, is back in place. Lyra is now inserted into the top division, the women's world division, instead of the mid card division. She's been mid card champion already. She's having a Gunther type of IC title run. Kalani Jordan failed to capture her second women's North American championship. She's going to the main roster, and she answered an open challenge against the against BFAB, the women's United States champion, and beat her after a 30-day BFAB title reign. I love women's wrestling. They're very talented. They fine as shit too. That's a plus. But they're very talented. I'm looking forward to seeing the future and to seeing who's going to be the next. But we're still giving high profile matches to the current. And it's not about age, it's about how long you've been there. Rhea Ripley is still the future, and she's the present. Rhea Ripley is not 30 years old yet. Bianca Belair is in her 30s, but she still has a lot of run to go. She still has many more years to be the top of the top of the top. But the Charlotte Flairs, the Becky Lynches, the Baileys, they're vets and they're still high profile names. But they don't really need the accolades anymore. They can just have high profile feuds. I would love to see Charlotte and Becky at WrestleMania. I would love to see Charlotte, Bailey, and Becky in a triple threat at WrestleMania. I would love to see Team Bailey versus Team Becky at a Survivor Series War Games. There's other things for them. They're above the belts because they made the belts already. Let someone else make the new belts. Liv Morgan, she can have another run in the future, but she don't need the main belt no more. She's redeemed her SmackDown Women's Championship run. Can Mia Yim get a belt? Hmm? Man, let me know. Can Piper get a belt? A singles belt? That's what these mid-card belts is made for, right? I'm just a little concerned myself, man. I'm hopeful. Can Zoe Stark get a mid-card belt? Can Zoe Stark beat Lyra for the belt? It should have been Zoe Stark versus Lyra for the championship in the first place. Anyway, can Zoe Stark get a belt? Can Zoe Stark be elevated now? Can Zoe Stark get a chance? We need more chances to be given. They're not popular. They're not popular. They don't have enough. How do you build a star? Go out there. Go out there. Show me what you can do. We're putting a belt on you. Let's see how you react. You don't just choose niggas that stars automatically. You make the stars. Lyra was made because they pushed Lyra. That's why people like her now. They pushed her. If Lyra was just a bum in NXT, she wouldn't be the champion right now. You gotta push people. Push it. You was pushing Zoe Stark with the Trish Stratus thing, and then she didn't have a match with Trish Stratus. That would have pushed her over the limit. Mia Yim never got a push. She just always been there. Mia Yim never got a push until she beat Chelsea Green and Piper back to back. Then people thought she was gonna win, but then she didn't win, so she still didn't get a push. She got a she didn't get a push. She got mushed. She didn't get a push. She got mushed. I'm concerned about the future. The women's division is in great shape, and they have high profile names, good matches. The writing has gotten better, in my opinion, as with Jade and Naomi showing you, and they're giving them more of an opportunity to show what they got. Some people going off of the rails, and it's good entertainment, but it's a little messy, Charlotte, Tiffany. The writing is getting better, but the booking, who gets the belt, who gets on the PLE, who is on the SmackDown and Raw before the PLE. That's what needs to be worked on, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I want to know what you think about that, though. I want to know if you agree or disagree, and I want to know if I'm just yapping. So like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for loving support as always. I appreciate you guys, and we're on the road to 10,000 subs, and I hope we can get there together as a community. And I thank you. And let's talk about some women's wrestling, man. See you guys later. Peace out.